The darkness of space stretched endlessly, a graveyard of shattered ships and drifting metal. Among the ruins floated a single human vessel, cracked, burning, and nearly silent. Inside, a young soldier named Ethan Cross struggled to stay awake. His ship's alarms were long dead, his oxygen running low. Blood trailed down his forehead as he stared at the stars outside. So quiet, so cold. The war between humans and the alien race of Alaris had ended for him. Or so he thought, Ethan whispered weakly. Guess this is it, huh? His voice was soft, fading into the static of a broken radio. He reached for a small pendant around his neck and a picture of Earth inside it. His vision blurred. Then suddenly a blinding white light filled the cabin. His body lifted from the seat as if gravity itself had vanished. The ship around him dissolved into particles of light, and for a moment, Ethan felt like he was falling upward, into something unknown. When the light faded, he found himself lying on a smooth crystal floor. The air was strange, heavy yet warm, filled with faint energy that made his skin tingle. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, shifting colors between silver and green. He tried to move, but his body ached. As he looked up, he froze. Standing before him was a woman unlike any he had ever seen. She was tall, graceful, and radiant, her armor made of emerald metal that caught the light like living fire. A delicate crown shaped like leaves rested on her dark brown hair, and her silver eyes glowed softly, unblinking. Her beauty was not human. It was otherworldly, perfect in a way that almost hurt to look at. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. His voice trembled as he whispered, "You're too beautiful for words." For a heartbeat, the room became still. The alien guard standing nearby stiffened, their weapons humming to life. The strange woman didn't move, but her eyes widened slightly, as if she had just heard something forbidden. No one in her world had ever spoken to her like that. Not her soldiers, not her council, not even her father, the king of Alaris. This human, bleeding and broken, had just said something so simple, yet so dangerous. The guard stepped forward instantly, energy spears pointed at Ethan's chest. But before they could strike, she lifted her hand. "Stop," she commanded softly, her voice like music mixed with steel. The guards froze in place, confused by her order. Ethan lay there, still breathing heavily. His heart pounded as he met her gaze. Where am I?" he managed to ask. "You are aboard the royal vessel of Alaris," she said, her tone calm but curious. "You were taken from the remains of your destroyed ship." "You should not be alive," Ethan gave a faint, crooked smile. "Guess I'm full of surprises." Her head tilted slightly as if studying a strange life form. "You speak with humor even when facing death. Humans truly are unpredictable. Is that a bad thing?" he asked quietly. Her lips parted for a second, then closed again. She had no answer. For as long as she could remember, her world had been ruled by logic, precision, and control. Emotions were seen as weakness, especially affection. Yet now, looking at this fragile human, she felt something unexplainable stir in her chest. Her eyes softened just a little. "You said I was beautiful," she murmured. "Why?" Ethan chuckled weakly. "Because you are. Where I come from, when something takes your breath away, you say it out loud." She blinked, visibly confused. "Even if it means death?" He smiled faintly. "Some things are worth dying for." Her heart skipped a beat, a strange and dangerous feeling for someone who had never experienced emotion before. She turned away quickly, hiding her face from her guards. The air in the crystal chamber felt heavier now, charged with something she didn't understand. The guards exchanged uneasy looks. One of them finally spoke. "Princess Ariana, shall we dispose of the human?" Ariana turned back toward Ethan. He looked weak, yet his eyes held warmth, something her world had forgotten. For centuries, her people believed humans were primitive, emotional, and foolish. But now, standing before one, she saw something different. Courage, kindness, heart. The silence stretched. Every eye was on her. Finally, she spoke, and her voice calm but filled with quiet fire. "No," she said. "Don't kill him." The guards looked shocked. "But, Your Highness." She raised a hand, silencing them instantly. Her silver eyes met Ethan's again. "I want to know why he said that," she whispered. The tension in the room thickened. Ethan's breathing slowed as exhaustion pulled him closer to sleep. But even as his vision darkened, he managed to smile faintly. "Maybe I'll tell you, if you promise not to kill me." For the first time, Princess Ariana almost smiled. A tiny flicker of emotion crossed her perfect, unreadable face. something fragile, human, and alive. The narrator's voice would echo softly here, calm and mysterious. That single human sentence changed the fate of two worlds. As the light dimmed in the crystal chamber, Ariana stood over the fallen human, her heart caught between duty and something far deeper, something her kind had long forgotten. And in that silent moment beneath the glow of alien stars, a story began, one that would rewrite the destiny of both their worlds. The crystal chamber was quiet after the guards carried Ethan away. Princess Ariana stood still, her silver eyes fixed on the floor where he had fallen. His words echoed in her mind again and again. "You're too beautiful for words." It was such a simple sentence, yet it had shaken something deep inside her. In the world of Alaris, beauty was never spoken of. It was measured, analyzed, and recorded, but never felt. To feel was weakness. To admire was distraction. Yet for the first time, the princess found herself wondering. Later that night, she walked alone through the glowing corridors of her ship. The walls pulsed faintly with life, like veins of light running through glass. Her footsteps were soft, her mind heavy. Her chief advisor, Lord Kareth, followed her at a distance. "Your Highness," he said quietly, "the human is being held in the lower energy chamber. He should not have survived the teleportation. His kind are fragile." Ariana stopped and looked back. "Fragile?" she repeated softly. "He didn't seem fragile to me. He looked alive," Kareth frowned. "Alive, yes, but dangerous. Humans are unpredictable, emotional. Their words mean nothing. He could be a spy." She gave a faint smile. "A spy who nearly died in space?" He bowed slightly. "Even the weak can be tools of deception." Ariana turned away. "Prepare a medical scan." "I will speak to him myself," Kareth hesitated. "That is not wise, my princess." She glanced over her shoulder. "It wasn't wise to let him live either. And yet here he is." Her tone left no room for argument. She walked away, her green armor catching the light like liquid emerald. Down in the lower chamber, Ethan sat on the floor, leaning against a curved wall made of glowing crystal. His arm was bandaged with some strange silver fabric that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. He didn't understand where he was. The walls hummed softly and the air smelled faintly of ozone. He had seen aliens before, in battle, from a distance. But never like this, never so close. When the door opened, he blinked against the sudden light. Ariana stepped in, her crown shimmering faintly. Two guards stood outside but did not follow. The door sealed shut behind her. Ethan forced a smile. "You again. I was starting to think I dreamed you." She looked at him silently for a long moment. "You are awake," she said softly. "Good." "Well," he replied, "I guess I'm hard to kill." Her expression didn't change, but her eyes flickered with curiosity. "You speak lightly of death. Are all humans so careless?" He laughed quietly. "We're not careless, we just try to make peace with things we can't control." She stepped closer, her footsteps barely making a sound. "Your kind confuses me," she said. "You fight with great violence, yet you speak with kindness. You call an enemy beautiful." Ethan shrugged gently. "Maybe we're complicated." "Complicated," she repeated, tasting the word like it was new to her. He looked at her then, really looked. The faint glow of the room reflected in her eyes. She looked powerful and untouchable, yet somehow lonely. "What's your name?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. "Ariana of Alaris." "Ariana," he repeated softly. "That's beautiful too." Her eyes widened slightly. "You dare speak my name so freely?" He smiled. "Names are meant to be spoken, aren't they?" For a second she didn't reply. Then she turned away as if hiding something. "You are strange, human." "Strange is better than dead," he said, chuckling under his breath. Her lips twitched, almost forming a smile. Almost. Then her voice grew serious again. "You should not be here. My father would have you executed." Ethan's smile faded. "Then why didn't you let them?" She turned toward him, her gaze steady. "Because you said something no one has ever said to me." He tilted his head. "That you're beautiful?" "Yes," she said quietly. "But more than that. You said it." As if you meant it, he nodded slowly. "I did." For a long moment neither spoke. The hum of the chamber filled the silence between them. Ariana could feel something unfamiliar building inside her chest. A warmth, soft but dangerous. She took a small step back, as if reminding herself of who she was. "Do not mistake my curiosity for mercy." she said. You are still my prisoner, Ethan smirked. Then you're the most beautiful jailer in the universe. Her eyes widened again and she looked away quickly. Your words are strange. They're honest, he said. That's what humans do when we don't know what else to say. She studied him in silence. His injuries, his calmness, his foolish courage, all of it defied everything she had been taught about humans. For centuries, her people had believed humans were beneath them, ruled by emotions instead of reason. But this man, he seemed to carry something her people had lost. Heart. Finally, she spoke again, her voice softer. Rest, human. You will need your strength. Tomorrow, the scientist will study you. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Study me? That doesn't sound fun. It is necessary, she said, though her tone wavered slightly. He grinned faintly. Will you be there? She hesitated. Perhaps, he nodded. Then I'll survive. Her eyes met his once more. Something unspoken passed between them, fragile, new, and forbidden. Then she turned and walked toward the door. Before leaving, she paused and looked back. Ethan Cross, she said softly, you should not make me feel curious. He smiled tiredly. Too late. The door closed behind her with a soft hum, leaving Ethan alone in the glowing silence. Outside, Ariana stood still for a moment, her hand resting on her chest. Her heartbeat was faster than usual, strange, unexplainable. She had never felt anything like it before, and as she walked down the shining corridor, one thought echoed in her mind, not of duty, not of her father, but of a human's voice saying words her world had forgotten. You're too beautiful for words. The next morning, the ship of Alaris floated silently in the endless dark. From outside, it looked like a moving crystal fortress, elegant, cold, and untouchable. Inside, Princess Ariana stood before the viewing window, her silver eyes fixed on the stars. She had not slept. All night, her mind kept replaying the human's words and the sound of his voice. It was strange how something so simple could echo louder than any weapon. Behind her, Lord Kareth entered the room. Princess, the council is waiting for your decision. What shall we do with the human? Ariana didn't turn around. He is still weak. Begin the scans after the second cycle. My princess, Kareth said carefully, your compassion for this creature may be misunderstood. She glanced at him, her voice calm. Then let them misunderstand. Kareth bowed and left, but worry filled his eyes. The Princess of Alaris had always been known for her cold logic and strength, never for kindness. Something was changing in her, and the council would not like it. Down below, Ethan sat inside a transparent cell surrounded by soft, glowing light. His wounds were healing faster than he expected. The alien medicine was powerful, though he still didn't trust it. As he stretched his arm, he noticed a small robot spider moving near his feet, its metal leg broken. He smiled slightly. Well, little guy, he whispered. Looks like you've seen better days. He picked it up gently and began fixing it with a piece of wire he had pulled from his bandage. His hands shook, but his focus was calm. Working with machines made him forget where he was. When the door opened, he didn't look up. You again? He said with a smile. You know, if you keep visiting me, people will start talking. Ariana stepped closer, watching him from a distance. What are you doing? Helping your robot friend, Ethan replied. One of his legs is bent. That model is outdated, she said. It is useless, Ethan chuckled softly. Maybe. But useless things can still have value if someone cares enough to fix them. Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but confusion. You waste time on something broken. He looked up at her, meeting her gaze. Maybe I just don't like giving up on things. She stared at him, silent. His words seemed simple, but they carried something deep. In her world, anything broken was destroyed or replaced, and even people. Yet this human was different. He looked at a broken machine and saw worth. Ariana's voice softened. You humans are strange. Ethan smiled faintly. You keep saying that. Maybe you just haven't met enough of us. For a moment, silence filled the room. The hum of the ship, the flicker of light. Everything seemed to fade. She stood just a few steps away, close enough for him to see the silver glow in her eyes. Why did you come here? She asked suddenly. Ethan hesitated. I didn't mean to. My ship was attacked near your border. Guess fate had other plans. Fate, she repeated. We don't believe in that word, he grinned. That's because you haven't lived long enough on Earth. She tilted her head. And what is Earth like? Ethan leaned back. Messy, loud, full of mistakes, but beautiful in its own way. Her lips curved just slightly. Beautiful, she whispered, almost to herself. He nodded. Yeah, the kind of beauty you don't measure with perfection, but with feeling. That word, feeling, hit something inside her. Her people didn't speak of feelings. They had locked them away generations ago, calling them dangerous. Yet in the human's voice it sounded pure. Suddenly the door opened behind them. Kareth entered with 2 guards. His expression was sharp. Princess, the council demands your presence. The human is to be examined immediately. Ethan frowned. Examined? Sounds friendly. Ariana turned toward Kareth. He's still recovering. The council does not care, Kareth said firmly. They believe he carries information from the human fleet. Ethan stood slowly. You mean you think I'm a spy? Kareth's tone was cold. We will find out soon enough. Before he could continue, Ariana stepped between them. Enough, I gave my command. The guards hesitated. No one had ever heard her raise her voice before. Her tone wasn't loud, but it carried power. Power mixed with emotion. Kareth lowered his head. As you wish, Your Highness. He turned and left, though anger flickered in his eyes. When they were alone again, Ethan exhaled slowly. Seems like not everyone here likes me. She looked at him with calm eyes. You shouldn't speak that way to my advisor. He smiled softly. I didn't. I just told the truth. For the first time, she let out a quiet breath, almost like a laugh, though she quickly hid it. You are impossible. Maybe, he said, but you keep coming back. Her eyes met his again, and for a brief moment, the world felt still. She wanted to deny it, the pull, the warmth, the strange ache in her chest. But something about this human made her feel alive in a way she never had before. Finally, she said softly, Be careful. Ethan Cross. Curiosity can be dangerous, even for a princess. He leaned forward slightly, his voice gentle. And feelings? She froze. The word struck her like lightning. Feelings were forbidden, a weakness her kind had erased. Feelings, she repeated, barely above a whisper. We do not have them. Ethan smiled. Then maybe it's time you start. She stared at him, caught between fear and fascination. Then, without another word, she turned and walked toward the door. But as the door slid shut behind her, she touched her chest again, right where her heart was. It was beating fast. Too fast. In the long, silent hallway, she whispered to herself, Why does it feel like I'm changing? The stars outside shimmered brighter as if listening. And somewhere deep inside the alien ship, 2 hearts, one human, one not, began to move toward the same fate. The royal ship of Elaris moved silently through the dark sea of stars. From the outside, it looked perfect, every surface shining, every crystal tower glowing with alien precision. But inside, something unexpected was beginning to break that perfection. Princess Ariana stood in her private chamber, staring at her reflection in the crystal mirror. Her face looked the same as always, calm, flawless, unreadable. But her eyes felt different. Something behind them had changed. Every time she closed them, she saw the human's face. Ethan's smile, his strange warmth, the way his words made her heart move. She had told herself it was curiosity, nothing more. Yet the more she repeated it, the less she believed it. A soft chime broke her thoughts. Lord Kareth entered, holding a glowing tablet. Your Highness, the human has recovered enough for testing, he said coldly. We should proceed before your father demands a report. Ariana's eyes hardened. Testing? You mean torture? Kareth's voice didn't waver. He is an enemy soldier. We must understand what makes humans so resilient. Resilient? She repeated. Kareth nodded. Yes, his cells are adapting to our environment faster than predicted. No human should survive this long aboard an Ilarian vessel. That caught her attention. Adapting? Yes, Kareth said. It's as if his body is learning. Ariana's gaze turned thoughtful. Humans were not known for strength or endurance. Yet Ethan was surviving where no human should. It made no sense, and that mystery only deepened her curiosity. Do nothing until I arrive, she said firmly. No harm will come to him without my order. Kareth frowned but bowed. As you command. Down in the lower deck, Ethan sat inside a circular chamber filled with faint green mist. Thin beams of light scanned his body as alien machines hummed softly around him. The strange energy felt warm against his skin, almost alive. He wasn't sure what they were doing, but he knew one thing. They were watching him like a specimen. The door slid open, and Ariana stepped inside. Her presence made the machines pause as if even they obeyed her. "You shouldn't be here," Ethan said quietly. "Your people don't seem to like me much." Her lips curved faintly. "My people do not like many things, Ethan Cross." "Guess I'm in good company then," he said with a small grin. She ignored his humor, studying the holographic readings beside him. Strange symbols flickered across the screen. "Your cells are changing," she said, "faster than any humans should. You are adapting to our energy. Is that bad?" he asked. "Unusual," she replied softly. "Impossible, even." He met her gaze. "Maybe I'm just built different." For the first time, she smiled. Just a small one, but real. "You always have an answer." "Only when you're the one asking," he said gently. Her smile faded, replaced by something softer. Confusion mixed with warmth. She turned away, trying to hide it. "You talk as if you are not afraid of me." "I'm not," he said. "You saved me," she paused. "That was logic, not mercy," he chuckled lightly. "You keep telling yourself that." Before she could respond, a sudden tremor shook the room. The lights flickered red, alarms blaring in a strange alien tone. The floor cracked, releasing a sharp hiss of energy. "What's happening?" Ethan asked quickly. Ariana touched her wrist communicator. "Bridge report," Static answered. Then a voice shouted, "Explosion in the lower engine core! We've been hit by an asteroid fragment, energy instability rising." Without warning, the chamber wall split open, releasing a surge of glowing plasma. The energy beam struck near Ariana, throwing her backward. She hit the ground hard, her armor cracked. "Ariana!" Ethan shouted. He ran toward her, ignoring the searing heat and alarms. The air shimmered with dangerous energy. She tried to rise, but a sharp piece of crystal had cut into her side. "Stay back," she gasped. The energy, but he didn't listen. Ethan reached for her, pulling her up just as another blast of light erupted behind them. He wrapped his arms around her, shielding her body with his own. The heat was unbearable, yet somehow, it didn't burn him. The glowing energy flowed around them like light bending away. Ariana's eyes widened. "How are you not burning?" Ethan gritted his teeth. "Guess? Your energy likes me." For a moment, time seemed to slow. The light reflected in her silver eyes, and she saw him holding her tightly, his face inches from hers. Their breathing mixed, her cold calm against his trembling warmth. Then the emergency shield activated, sealing the breach. The alarms faded, replaced by the low hum of stabilization. Ethan loosened his grip slowly. "You okay?" Ariana looked up at him, dazed. "You saved me," he smiled faintly. "Well, you saved me first. I figured it's only fair." For the first time in her life, Ariana felt her chest ache, not from pain, but something deeper. No one had ever risked their life for her before. Her people would have let her die if logic required it. But this human didn't even think twice. "You risked your life," she whispered. "For me." He shrugged lightly, his voice soft. "What's a life worth if you can't protect someone beautiful?" Her breath caught. The words hit harder this time. She didn't know what to say. Their eyes met. His full of warmth and reckless courage, hers filled with questions she didn't yet understand. A moment passed, long and silent. The hum of the ship was the only sound. Then she stood slowly, her hand brushing his arm as she steadied herself. "You are impossible, Ethan Cross," he smiled. "I'll take that as a compliment." She turned to leave but hesitated at the door. Without facing him, she said quietly, "If my father learns what happened today, he will not spare you. Do not leave this chamber. Do you understand?" Ethan nodded. "I'll stay, but promise me something." She glanced back. "What?" "Don't get yourself killed before I see you smile again." Her lips parted, no answer came. But her eyes softened for just a heartbeat before she turned and disappeared through the door. That night, as the ship drifted quietly through space, Princess Ariana stood alone in her chamber. Her hand rested over the cracked part of her armor, the place where his hands had held her. Her heart was beating faster than ever, and for the first time, she whispered to herself in the silence. Why does this human make me feel alive? The royal ship floated in silence, its once perfect balance now unstable after the explosion. Outside, distant stars shimmered like frozen sparks, but inside, tension grew like fire. Ethan sat on the edge of the medical bed, his body covered in faint glowing marks. The alien energy that should have destroyed him now pulsed through his veins like living light. He didn't understand it, but he could feel it, a quiet power sleeping inside him. The door slid open. Ariana stepped in, her royal armor gone, replaced by a dark cloak. Her face was hidden beneath the hood, her voice calm but rushed. "You need to come with me," she said quietly. Ethan frowned. "Why, what's going on?" "My father knows," she whispered. "He knows you're still alive, and that I protected you." He stood up slowly. "And I'm guessing he's not too happy about that." Her eyes flashed. "He has ordered your execution at dawn." Ethan's heart sank. "That's soon." "There is no time," she said firmly. "Follow me." The corridors were dark, lit only by red emergency lights. Shadows stretched across the floor like ghosts. Ariana moved quickly, her steps silent, her cloak flowing behind her. Ethan followed, his heart pounding. "Are you sure about this?" he whispered. "You're a princess." "If they catch you helping me, they won't," she cut him off. "And if they do, I'll deal with it." "You'd risk everything for me?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. Her face remained hidden in shadow, but he saw her hand tremble when she reached for the control panel. The door ahead opened with a low hiss, revealing the hangar bay, wide, filled with alien ships, and guarded by 2 armored sentries. Ariana looked at Ethan. "Stay close." She pressed her palm to her chest. The air shimmered and her armor appeared, elegant and silver, glowing faintly beneath her cloak. Then she walked straight toward the guards. They bowed instantly. "Your Highness, what are you—" Before he could finish, she raised her hand and a bright pulse of light shot forward. The guards froze, their armor locking up in an instant. Ethan blinked. "You just stunned them," she said shortly. "Move." He followed as she led him to a smaller vessel, sleek, black, and shaped like a winged crystal. She placed her hand on the control sphere and the ship came alive with a low hum. "Get in," she ordered. Ethan hesitated. "What about you?" "I'm coming with you," she said simply. He stared at her. "You're serious?" Her eyes met his, silver and determined. "If I stay, they'll hunt you. If I go, I can protect you." Ethan gave a small smile. "Guess I can't say no to my rescuer." As the ship left the hangar, alarms exploded behind them. Red lights filled the bay and a voice echoed through the speakers. "Unauthorized departure detected." "Interceptors launching!" Ariana gripped the controls tightly. "Hold on." The small ship burst into the darkness, streaking through the starfield like lightning. Behind them, several royal cruisers followed, firing beams of glowing plasma. Ethan leaned forward. "They're catching up!" "Not for long," she muttered. "Ilarian vessels rely on predictable routes. I don't." She pulled the ship sharply upward, weaving between energy blasts. Each turn was impossibly precise, her movements graceful yet deadly. Ethan watched in awe. "You're an amazing pilot," he said breathlessly. She gave a faint smirk. "You sound surprised?" "Just impressed," he replied. "Didn't think royalty got their hands dirty." Her lips curved slightly. "Maybe I'm not like other royals." A plasma beam grazed the ship, shaking them violently. Ethan grabbed the side rail. "Maybe save the flirting until we're not about to die." Ariana laughed softly, the first real laugh he'd heard from her. "You have the strangest sense of humor, human. And you have terrible aim," he teased. Her eyes narrowed playfully. "Watch your words or I might eject you." They both smiled, and for a moment the chaos outside didn't matter. The stars blurred, light streaking past them as Ariana pushed the ship to its limit. Finally, with one last burst of energy, they broke free of the royal radar zone. Silence filled the cabin. Ethan leaned back, catching his breath. "Did we lose them?" "For now," she said, scanning the sensors. "But they'll keep looking." He looked at her, admiration softening his voice. "You just risked your life, your throne. Everything." She didn't meet his eyes. "Maybe some things are worth the risk." "Like what?" he asked gently. She hesitated. The stars reflected in her silver eyes. "Like finding out if your heart can lie." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned to him, her expression unreadable. "When you called me beautiful, Was it a lie? He smiled faintly. No, Princess. It was the most honest thing I've ever said. For a heartbeat, the world around them disappeared. No war, no orders, no fear. Only the quiet hum of the ship and the soft pulse between two hearts that shouldn't have met. Then she looked away, breaking the spell. Rest. You'll need your strength. The next planet is uncharted territory. Ethan leaned back, eyes still on her. Whatever happens next, I'm with you. Ariana paused at the controls, her hand frozen for a moment. Her heart beat faster, a feeling she didn't want to name yet. As the ship vanished into the stars, the screen flickered, the royal fleet still tracking their signal, her father's voice echoing through the command chamber. Find them, no matter where they run. The stolen ship drifted silently through the dark void, its engines glowing faintly like a wounded star. Ethan had fallen asleep near the viewing window, the soft hum of the ship wrapping him in uneasy dreams. But Ariana didn't sleep. She sat at the controls, her eyes fixed on the flickering radar. Each pulse reminded her that they were still being hunted. Somewhere behind them, her father's fleet searched every corner of the galaxy. She knew what would happen if they were found, not just to Ethan, but to her as well. Her gaze drifted toward him. His head rested against the seat, his chest rising and falling slowly. For a moment, she simply watched. There was something peaceful about him, fragile yet unbreakable. Humans were strange, yes, but there was strength in their softness. She whispered to herself, "Why do I feel this? Pull?" The ship beeped suddenly, snapping her from her thoughts. A small planet appeared on the screen, covered in blue mist, hidden from star maps. Uncharted, she murmured. Perfect. Hours later, the ship landed on the planet's surface with a low hiss. The world outside was quiet, filled with glowing trees and rivers of silver light. Strange winged creatures drifted between the leaves, and the air shimmered like a dream. Ethan stepped out slowly, his boots sinking into soft blue grass. "It's beautiful," he whispered. Ariana followed, her cloak fluttering in the gentle wind. "This planet is not on any record. It might have been erased from the charts centuries ago." He smiled slightly. "Guess it's our secret then." She glanced at him. Perhaps. For the first time since their escape, she looked calm. The constant tension in her eyes softened. The war, the orders, the fear. All of it seemed distant here. They walked together toward a small lake that glowed faintly under the twin moons. Ethan knelt by the water, touching it. "It's warm." Ariana crouched beside him. "This world has energy unlike any I've seen. The atmosphere feels alive." He looked at her reflection in the glowing surface. "Maybe that's why you feel more at home here." Her eyes met his in the water. "You speak too freely, human," he grinned. "And yet, you keep listening." She turned away quickly, but there was a faint smile on her lips. Later that night, they built a small camp near the ship. Ethan managed to create a fire using fragments of metal and energy cells. The flames shimmered blue, reflecting on Ariana's silver armor. Ethan sat across from her. "You know," he said softly, "you don't have to wear that all the time." She raised a brow. "It is protection," he chuckled. "Against me?" Her eyes glimmered. "Against everything." For a moment, silence settled between them, soft but charged. The air felt different here. The wind carried faint whispers, as if the planet itself was alive and listening. Ariana finally spoke, her voice lower. "On my world, feelings are forbidden. We were taught that emotion weakens judgment, clouds reason." Ethan stared at the fire. "And do you believe that?" She hesitated. "I used to." He looked up, his voice gentle. "And now?" Her gaze met his, the flames reflecting in her eyes. "Now, I don't know what to believe anymore." Ethan smiled softly. "Maybe that's what feeling does, when it makes you question everything you thought was certain." Ariana looked at him, searching his face for answers. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't of her kind. But he carried something far more dangerous than any weapon. Hope. She whispered, "You risked your life to save me back on the ship." "Why?" He leaned closer. "Because when I looked at you, I didn't see an alien princess. I saw someone who was fighting her own cage." Her breath caught. "You speak like you can see through walls." "Maybe I just see people," he said quietly. "Not titles. Not armor." Her heartbeat quickened. No one had ever spoken to her that way, not with fear, but with truth. A sudden sound broke the moment, and a deep rumble in the distance. The ground trembled beneath them. Ariana rose instantly, her instincts sharp. Something's coming. Ethan stood beside her. From where? Before she could answer, a massive creature emerged from the mist. A beast made of crystal and bone, its eyes glowing white. It roared, shaking the ground. Ethan's pulse raced. I thought you said this planet was safe. I said it was uncharted, she replied, activating her energy blade. The creature lunged forward. Ariana struck, her movements fast and fluid, but the beast's crystal skin deflected most of her hits. Ethan grabbed a plasma stick from the fire and threw it toward the creature's leg. The explosion of light made it stagger. Nice aim, Ariana shouted. Beginner's luck. He yelled back. They fought side by side, dodging and striking until finally Ariana leaped onto a rock, channeled energy into her weapon, and drove it through the beast's neck. The creature screamed, then collapsed into shimmering dust. For a long moment, only their heavy breathing filled the air. Ethan smiled weakly. Well, that was romantic. Ariana looked at him, eyes wide. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. It was soft, real, almost human. He grinned. I'll take that as a thank you. She shook her head, her laughter fading into a quiet smile. You're impossible. Maybe that's why you haven't sent me away, he said gently. Her expression softened. Maybe. They stood under the twin moons, the silver wind brushing past them. For the first time, the space between them didn't feel like a barrier. It felt like gravity. But far above the glowing sky, hidden in the dark void, an Alarian tracking beacon blinked once, then twice. They were no longer alone. The morning sky over the forbidden planet shimmered in soft silver light. Mist floated above the glowing rivers and the twin moons faded behind pale clouds. Ethan and Ariana stood near their small ship, checking the power cells. Ethan stretched and smiled. Hard to believe a place like this even exists. Feels like a dream. Ariana looked toward the horizon. Dreams can be dangerous. Sometimes they make us forget reality. He turned to her, grinning. Then let's stay asleep a little longer. She tried to hide her smile, but her heart betrayed her. Every time he spoke, something warm stirred inside her. Something she didn't understand and couldn't control. Suddenly, a loud beep echoed from inside the ship. Ariana's smile faded instantly. She rushed to the control screen, her silver eyes narrowing as red lights flashed. Ethan followed her. What's wrong? Her voice dropped. They found us, your people. She nodded. My father's fleet. They've traced our ship's signature. Ethan's chest tightened. Can we hide? No, she said quickly. They'll scan the entire planet. We have to leave, and we're now. Ethan's jaw clenched. And if we don't? Ariana looked at him, her expression cold but trembling. They will destroy everything. Including you, he nodded. Then let's move. Within minutes, the ship lifted off, breaking through the planet's misty clouds. But the moment they entered orbit, bright flashes appeared on the radar. A fleet of Alarian cruisers surrounding them like silver sharks. Ariana's hands flew over the controls. They've locked on. Ethan gripped the seat. You can outfly them, right? She smirked slightly despite the danger. Do you doubt me? Not for a second, he said. She pushed the ship hard, weaving through plasma fire. The stars blurred into long white streaks as she twisted and rolled, avoiding one blast after another. 2 interceptors at our tail, Ethan shouted. I see them, she said sharply, pressing a hidden crystal on the console. Hold tight. The ship flipped backward in a sudden, impossible spin. Energy rippled from its engines. A burst of light that blinded the pursuers. Both interceptors collided and exploded, scattering into debris. Ethan blinked, dazed. You actually did it. Ariana exhaled, her voice calm but shaken. We're not safe yet. Behind them, the massive royal flagship appeared, dark and beautiful, its wings stretching across the stars. Ariana's expression froze. My father's ship. Ethan leaned closer. Then we run faster. Her hands trembled slightly. He won't stop. He'll destroy us both before letting me escape. Then let's make him chase something he can't catch, Ethan said firmly. She looked at him, and for a moment, everything slowed. His courage, reckless, human, real, lit something deep inside her. You're not afraid? She asked quietly. He smiled faintly. Only of losing you. The words hit her harder than any weapon. Her breath caught, but before she could reply, a voice filled the cabin. Princess Ariana of Ilaris. The message echoed in her own language. By royal order, power down your vessel and surrender the human. You will be forgiven if you obey. Ariana stared at the comms screen, her father's face appearing cold and unyielding. His silver eyes burned through her. Daughter, he said sternly, you have dishonored your name. Return now. She clenched her fists. Father, listen to me. He's not the enemy. Silence. His voice thundered. He is a human, a threat. They destroyed our borders once, they will do it again. You cannot let emotion cloud your duty. Ethan stepped forward. Sir, do not speak, human, the Emperor snapped. You have poisoned my daughter's mind long enough. Ariana's voice broke through, trembling but strong. He saved my life. He showed me mercy when your soldiers would not. You are a princess of Alaris. Her father roared. Not a creature of feeling? Her heart pounded painfully in her chest. Maybe that's what's wrong with us, she whispered. The Emperor's image flickered. If you continue this rebellion, you will be exiled forever. I will erase your name from the royal line. The words cut deep. Ariana's throat tightened. Her entire life had been built around duty, honor, perfection. But when she turned and saw Ethan standing there, bruised, tired, yet unafraid, she knew her answer. I'm sorry, she said softly, but I've already made my choice. Then she cut the transmission. The silence afterward was heavy. Ethan stepped closer. That was brave. Ariana's eyes glistened, though no tears fell. It was necessary. You just gave up your world for me. She looked at him, her voice trembling but sure. Maybe I didn't give it up. Maybe I finally found a new one. Ethan reached out, gently taking her hand. Her fingers were cold at first, and then slowly they tightened around his. Whatever happens next, he said quietly, we face it together. She nodded. Together. But the ship suddenly shook violently. An energy beam struck their left wing. The alarm screamed. Ariana shouted, We've been hit! Hold on! The engines burst with sparks. The stars spun outside the window. The ship fell into a spiral, dragging them toward a glowing nebula below. Ethan reached for her. Ariana, I've got you, she yelled, pulling him close as the world turned into light and sound. The last thing Ethan saw was her silver eyes staring into his. Fierce, afraid, and full of something deeper than either of them could name. Then everything went black. Silence. That was the first thing Ethan heard when he opened his eyes. The hum of the engines was gone. The stars were still. All around him, soft white dust floated like snow. He coughed weakly, pain burning through his body. Then he saw her. Ariana lay a few feet away, half buried under shattered crystal from the ship's hull. Her armor was cracked, her face pale but still, too still. Ariana, he shouted, crawling toward her. She didn't move. He brushed the dust from her face and placed his hand on her cheek. It was cold. Panic gripped his chest. No, no, no. Come on, princess, stay with me. Her lips parted slightly, a faint breath escaping. Ethan. Relief flooded through him. Yeah, it's me. Don't talk. Just breathe. Her eyes fluttered open, silver light faintly glowing in them. Where are we? He looked around. I think we crashed on one of the moons near the nebula. The ship's wrecked, but we're alive. She tried to sit up, wincing in pain. He helped her gently. Outside the shattered hull, the world stretched in quiet ruin. Endless plains of glowing dust, the sky painted in deep blue streaks. It was beautiful, and completely empty. We're stranded, she whispered. He nodded. For now. Ariana looked at the broken console beside her. The distress beacon is gone. My people will find us, Ethan frowned. And what happens when they do? Her voice was soft but steady. They'll take me home, and they'll kill you. He gave a small, sad smile. Guess we better make the most of the time we've got then. They moved what little supplies they could salvage from the ship and built a small shelter near a glowing ridge. The moon's light gave everything a dreamlike hue. As hours passed, Ariana sat quietly, her eyes distant. I never thought I'd see the stars this way, she said softly. Without duty, without fear. Ethan sat beside her, looking up. They look different when you stop running. She turned to him. Do you regret saving me? He shook his head. Not for a second. She looked down, her silver hair falling across her face. You've lost everything because of me. He smiled faintly. Then maybe it was worth losing. She met his gaze, and then something inside her broke open, raw and real. "Why do you always say things that make my heart hurt?" He reached out slowly, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. "Maybe because I mean them." Her breath trembled. She wanted to speak, but words felt small compared to what she felt. The warmth in her chest, the pull in her veins, the strange ache that only grew stronger near him. Finally, she whispered, "Ethan, I don't understand what's happening to me." He smiled gently. "You're feeling. That's all." Tears shimmered in her silver eyes. The first tears she had ever shed. "It hurts." He nodded softly. "Yeah, that's what makes it real." Time blurred. Days, maybe weeks, passed on the empty moon. They talked, they laughed. They built small fires from the ship's remains. For the first time, Ariana lived not as a princess, but as a person. No crown, no orders. Just the quiet beat of her heart beside his. But peace doesn't last forever. One night, as they lay under the glowing sky, the air shimmered with energy. A beam of blue light pierced the horizon. Ariana's eyes widened. "They found us," Ethan stood. "Your father's ships?" "Yes." She turned to him, fear in her voice. "They'll be here in minutes." "You must hide." He shook his head. "Not this time." "Ethan, please," she said urgently. "They will destroy you." He stepped closer. "And if I run, they'll destroy you." Her heart pounded. "You can't fight them." He smiled softly. "I don't have to. I just have to stand beside you." She stared at him, her breath trembling. "You're a fool." "Yeah," he said. "But I'm your fool." The sky broke open as the Ilarian fleet descended, lights flashing, engines roaring. Soldiers surrounded them in moments. The Emperor himself stepped forward from his ship, his silver armor shining like the stars. Ariana stood tall beside Ethan, her hand still in his. "Father," she said, her voice calm but strong. "End this." The Emperor's face was cold. "Step away from the human." "I won't." His expression darkened. "You've betrayed your blood, your world, your kind." She lifted her chin. "No. I've remembered what it means to be alive." His eyes flicked to Ethan. "Then you leave me no choice." Energy gathered in his gauntlet. Bright, deadly light ready to strike. Ethan moved instantly, pulling Ariana behind him. "No!" The blast hit him square in the chest. The air exploded with sound and light. Ariana screamed. "Ethan!" He fell to the ground, his body glowing faintly from the energy. She caught him in her arms, her tears falling freely now. "Stay with me," she whispered desperately. "Please don't go." He looked up at her, his voice weak but peaceful. "Hey, I told you." "You were too beautiful for words." Her heart broke. Don't talk like that." He smiled faintly. "Looks like I finally kept my promise." "Ethan," she cried, holding him tighter. He reached up, his hand trembling as it touched her cheek one last time. "You made me believe in more than stars." Then his hand fell. The light in his eyes faded. Ariana's cry echoed across the dead moon, carried by the wind. The Emperor stood frozen. His daughter knelt beside the fallen human, light gathering around her, bright, fierce, and alive. "You took everything from me," she whispered, her voice trembling with power. "And now you'll see what emotion truly is." Energy burst from her body. Not anger, but pure feeling. The fleet's lights flickered, ships trembled, and even the Emperor staggered back. In that moment, the cold heart of Alaris felt warmth for the first time in centuries. When the light faded, Ariana knelt in silence, cradling Ethan's body. The stars above glowed brighter, calm as if morning. She whispered softly, "You changed me, Ethan Cross, and I'll never forget you." Then, as dawn rose over the broken moon, the Princess of Alaris stood, no longer a ruler of a cold world, but a woman who had finally learned what it meant to love.